Hey guys, this is Larfen. Welcome to a new episode of my video analysis. Let's just hop right into this first replay right here. Okay, let's do it. This is going to be Misconceptions by Scyther1. This is a madman in classic gravity. Got a lot of dismemberments, got a lot of stuff going on, so let's talk about it. Alright. So, to start off with, we got this opener. He does sort of like a 360 spin kick for that first kick. Alright. So, I don't think there's much to complain about, really. I mean, there's a little bit of movement up in the arms you can see there. You can see how he's sort of moving his arms up and down there. And I don't think that's even really a problem in this case. It seems like he's doing it smoothly. He's doing it to increase his spin, and he doesn't seem to be, like, waving him around wildly. And it's a little bit goofy looking, but it's definitely not bad. And the spin he gets here is very nice. You can see that he uses his left leg to sort of flick off Uke to get a little bit of a pivot at the beginning there. And that really can help your spins out a lot when you're doing them. His leg is a little bit not contracted when he's making this kick, but he's really doing a good job at making that not a detracting element of the kick. He's just sort of sticking that leg out there, and it's working for him. So, I guess I don't really have any problems with this opener, except, and I don't even really have a problem with the arms moving. I guess they're a little weird, but it's not that bad. It's a little bit weird. But, he gets that first kick, and that's sort of a bit of a launcher on Uke there. And then, he really does the only thing he can, which is land again and then launch towards again. I'd say this isn't too long of a wait. You can see that he's obviously trying to get close to Uke and continue his combo as quickly as possible. So there's definitely not too much of a problem with the space in between these kicks, as there normally would be when there's a large space in between hits. Because you can see that the only thing he's doing right now is making sure that he can set up for a follow-up. So you can see that he lands, and then I have to say this is a really nice second kick too. Like, this is a really nice second kick. You can see how he gets that. He gets the scrape on that elbow, and then he gets that arm kick. That's really nice. That's a really nice kind of kick to do. That's hard. So that's definitely something pretty impressive in this replay. And then he uses that leg that he's using to hit off the ground, and then uses the other leg to sort of flick Uke up. That's like I don't know if it's. I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's not like it's a little bit awkward looking. I would have tried to look for a different option in this case. It's not. He didn't choose an awful option, but I think there are other things he could have done that would have been a little bit smoother, because lifting up Uke is a little bit of an awkward process. I mean, he has weight to him, so you gotta like put a lot of your body into it, and it can really slow you down. He really does his the best job he can at making this look smooth, though. So I mean, I can't give him too much shit about it. So I mean, it's definitely pretty good, but I think he could have maybe gotten a better option. But he flicks Uke up into his hand, so I mean, he uses that flick very efficiently, and then he gets this that kick is definitely my first major problem with this replay. So he gets this really nice grab, and then he's bringing his leg up for this kick, and then he it looks like it should be this really big boom, and then it just gets one dismemberment on the pec, and it's with his shin. And that's really anticlimactic for that kind of setup. Like, he's using a non-dismembering hit to position Uke. He grabs Uke, and then he spins around and gets 1 dismemberment. That should not happen. You should really try, when you're doing this much setup for 1 hit, it should really be like a really big hit, or else it seems a little bit anticlimactic. It may be because he's doing a bit of a trans kick with this, and that's a little bit wonkier to set up than a cis kick. But if he had just used, I don't think a hook kick might have been preferable here, and he could have tried a little bit to set up that kick a little bit nicer. And it's definitely not an awful kick. Like, it definitely has power to it, and you can feel it. But I feel like there's just a lot of wasted potential in that kick. And then he follows it up with another thing, if I remember correctly, that I didn't like about this replay. Yeah, okay, so he gets this grab on the neck, because I mean, he used a grab release for that previous kick, so he grabs again, and then he does a really strange decision. You can see that his left leg is coming up to kick Yuke. 1 second. I need to check something. I want to see when this decap happens. Okay, so that's not good. That's no good. So he gets this grab, and then he has this kick right here for him. And this kick does nothing. This kick does absolutely 0 things. It just hits Yuke away a little bit. It doesn't get any dismemberments. It doesn't really position Yuke for any good follow-ups. The decap doesn't happen because of it. It's just that kick really doesn't really do anything. And when you're hitting Yuke with like your shin, and you're just wailing on him and nothing's happening, that's something you should really be editing out. Because, I mean, you just don't want to look like you're trying to do something and you failed at it. And that's what that kick kind of looks like. It looks like he was trying to break something, and it didn't happen. And you don't want... And when you have an edit button, that should never happen, that it looks like you're trying to do something and you failed, because you can always fix it. So it would have been really nice for him to take out that kick. And another thing is the way he gets this decap, because you can see that he gets this grab around the neck, and then he just contracts his wrist, and then his wrist hits the neck, and the neck just pops off. And that's a really boring way to get a decap. That you're just sort of shoving a joint in there that's been there for a while, but now it's just there dismembering him. That's no good. You want the decap to happen from like something obvious, something that looks like a hit, rather than just sort of breaking off while you're grabbing it. So that section I'm really not a fan of, those 2 kicks right there. But then he quickly follows that up with a trans back kick, gets 1 dismemberment. That's definitely a solid follow-up to that movement, though, because he just brings his leg around and gets that kick. So he does the 1 kick that does nothing into this really nice back kick. He throws Oh, I didn't even notice that before in this replay. He also gets that pec dismemberment through hitting it with his wrist. This one I don't have as much of a problem with it because it just looks like he's breaking it on the ground. So, I mean, it's definitely excusable. So I don't have a problem with that dismemberment. And then he does some really interesting, nice kicks here. So he does this like scissor kick on the torso and separates that little glute region. And that's really cute. I really like that move. How he just sort of squeezes that piece in between his legs and it breaks. That's nice as hell. I really like it. And then he gets this other kick and somehow breaks that piece. I don't know how he broke that. He looked like he was in no position to be breaking a piece like that, just spinning in the air. But he managed it, and it's really nice. So those last 2 kicks are definitely fantastic. I love those last 2 kicks. And I love the beginning of this replay. So overall, this is a really nice replay. It's definitely very well executed. There are a few things that I disagree with, but I don't think are like objectively bad. It's just sort of my preference. So this guy is definitely a pretty solid replay maker, and I'm surprised I haven't heard of him yet. So props. Alright, so for my next replay here, we're going to be looking at the Terrible 2 by Stevie. Stevie, probably one of the best trickers in the business right now. He's really impressive a lot of the time with his tricking replays, and he's trying to sort of break into the Madman Classic replay making category. So let's take a look at this. So, Stevie starts out with this little spin opener. You can sort of see his tricking background here. Like, his movements are very smooth, and his launches are very how should I describe them? Like they're not weak launches, but they're tasteful launches. They're not like strong, I'm gonna kick the ground as hard as I can and fly towards this dude at full speed. He's pushing off the ground so he can get a nice little spin. And I think that's cool. That's a nice little style to have. So I like that. So he sort of pushes off the ground here and does this nice little 360 front kick. I really don't have any problems with it. It just looks really nice. He has a lot of nice movement in the spin. He's using his arms really well to position himself. He's using his legs really well to get in a good position to get that kick. You can see that he brings his right leg back here so that he can optimally set up for himself. You can see that he sort of sets himself up in the air so that he can twist the other direction in order to get that first kick off. So that's a really smart movement on his part, to think ahead and make sure that your body is in the right place at the right time to be getting that first kick that you want. That's something that's definitely admirable in a replay, the ability to plan ahead and make sure you're in an optimal position to get what you want. But the first kick is kind of strange. You can see that his foot goes under the glutes, but he's breaking the abs. And I mean, the reason that he's breaking the abs is that he's kicking with the ankle, you can see, rather than his foot. The foot's like in the glutes here, but his ankle is what's hitting that abs piece and getting it to break. So I would have liked for him maybe to edit the engage distance, maybe put himself a little bit further away so he can get a cleaner kick on that torso, because I really would like to see a torso kick where the foot is doing the dismemberment rather than the ankle. And also, he just looks a little bit close quarters, and it just looks weird that he's kicking the underside of Yuke's butt and he's getting this kind of split. It just looks like he's kicking the wrong part and the wrong thing is breaking. So I guess probably the best way to do that is to edit the engage distance in Notepad. So anyway, it ends up being a really weird launcher where Yuke's torso just kind of floats up a bit, but it's kind of staying in place. Everything is kind of in the same place. But that gives the Stevie a really good chance to do another one of his push-offs, do another 360, and get a really nice, clean, and smooth head kick. The decap kick is phenomenal, definitely. I love how smoothly he moves to get this decap kick. Just the smoothness of the spin that he does here is fantastic. I absolutely love how he's spinning here. And then he lands smoothly into this pose, and just everything about this replay is very smooth. Stevie doesn't have any hiccups in his movement, and that's definitely something to be admired. Maybe, and the replay is a little bit simple, is I guess the only drawback that I'd give to it. It's just two kicks, and they're both sort of 360 kicks. So I mean, it's not. I mean, he kind of does the same thing twice a little bit, not really, but kind of. So I mean, that is definitely one fault to it. But I mean, there's definitely something to be said about doing a simple replay this smoothly and this cleanly and this professionally. So this is definitely a pretty sweet replay. Our next replay here is going to be Waterfall by What the Flow, or WT Flow. I'm going to say What the Flow because I think that's what it's supposed to be. And he's got a little bit of a split cap / madman, I'm not sure which thing. But this replay is very interesting to me, so I'm going to try and explain why. So he starts off with a little bit of an odd opener. Like, this is a weird looking position to start out in. I just look at it. It's not normal. It looks like he's sort of like distended his torso a little bit by like pushing his hand into his leg here. So it's a weird looking opener. And then he makes it more weird by sort of scraping his head and elbow and shoulder and everything across the ground while he pushes off for this first kick here. The weird distending thing I thought was cool, but the head and elbow hitting the ground, less cool. A lot less cool. I'd really like for him to try to avoid that in almost any case. I mean, like, if it's obviously like on purpose, like, oh, I'm using my head to spin around on here, that's cool. But it looks like his head and elbow are just sort of in the way of this push-off he's trying to do. And a lot of the time, you want to try and play almost like DQ is on. You're going to see a lot of replay makers play like just with their feet and their hands on the ground, and that's about it. And there's a reason for that. It's just because it looks a lot better and cleaner movement. But I mean, you can definitely go for head spins and all that. Just make it clear that you're just trying to spin on your head and look cool by spinning on your head. But anyway, he brings his leg around real quick for this little tap on uke. I mean, it's cute. There's nothing wrong with it, and especially because he does this crazy cool follow-up off of it. So he taps the uke there, and then he like contracts his elbow a bit, and then uses that to push off into this pivot spin, into this grab, into this kick. And that is a crazy cool series of movements, in my opinion. Starting after that kick, he just pushes off his hand, pivots on the ground, grabs, kicks. That's such a cool and smooth movement. And I really like that part. It's really nice looking. I know I say that I don't like grabs before dismemberments, but it's excused in this case just because it flows so well and it looks awesome. I love this whole setup that he does here, and then ends up with the core kick. Those frames are so promising, and I'd love to see him just do a whole replay if he can keep doing stuff that cool. I mean, there's a little bit of a problem, like right before the grab, he sort of slows down a bit and sort of stalls in the air just for a split second, but it's definitely solid. I really like it. So then, after this core kick, he gets this grab and does a little bit of an indecision move. You can tell that he's a little bit inexperienced in that he doesn't know where he wants to go immediately from here. You can see he's sort of like twisting his body around, twist it this way, twist it the other way. Oh, I'm going for a hook kick. That's what I'm going for. And you really want to try. It looks like he like started to do one thing, saw it didn't work, and then edited it, and then switched to this hook kick. And that's not a good look. You really want to try and make it look like you always had the plan of what you went with. You can see that he sort of gets that grab, and like if he immediately went to that hook kick, this would be fine. But in this scenario, it's a little bit weird. That was my phone, sorry. But that's a cool hook kick still. It's just there's a little bit of hesitation before he started it. But it's definitely a cool hook kick. And then he gets another really nice hammer kick, axe kick, I don't know what to call it. He just swings his foot down really fast into there and gets a pec dismemberment. If he was extra swag, he would have gotten 2 pec dismemberments. Actually, I'm surprised that he didn't. I feel like he could have with the kind of kick that he had here. But that's a really nice looking axe kick that he's got there for that follow-up. That's a really nice looking axe kick. And then he goes into this little pose, and that's the replay. But this is such an interesting replay because he's doing so many really cool things and so many like really, for lack of a better term, newbie things. Like you don't see a lot of people doing the kind of things he's doing, scraping their head against the ground. You don't see him doing this weird both arms in front of him indecision move. You don't see him doing this weird loosey-goosey pose. So it's a really weird dichotomy between really cool stuff and really scrubby stuff. And that's why this replay interests me so much. But if he keeps doing the stuff that's cool, this guy's going to be really good, I'm just going to say. So this is definitely a really promising replay.